Hello, students. As we begin week 3, I just want to remind you that you might be used to having, say, this prior week where everything is listed on here. We took some feedback from parents and students alike and consolidated it, which means we put it into one slideshow. So this week, everything you needed to do was on week 1, week 2, anything you need to pick up or finish. So let's look at this week, week 3. So notice it's getting simpler and simpler. So you would just click on week 3. And you did a warm up while I took attendance. So you're looking at this quote. This is Miss Dobbins' dog and some excellent Photoshop skills. And we just talked about how this means you treat others the way you want to be treated, or just simply doing good things in this life. And what does that mean? As sixth graders, you do want to be writing often, daily, expanding sentences, elaborating. So 3 to 5 sentences that give an example of a time you did something great. Maybe your cousin came over and you behaved well, and so you inspired somebody else. You're just telling a personal story. You're writing complete sentences with capitals, periods. And when you were done, I asked you to go back into Epic. We need to be looking at the poems that I sent you, reading more poetry this week to really help you with that, or reading whatever you want to read. That's your visit to the library time. So, I have too many tabs open. Okay, so push pause, get that done. Maybe you did that. Maybe you're watching this video just to review the poetry project part, and I'll get to that. Okay, so our objective today was to look at an example of this. Now, you just took a major grade test, and that was 65% of your grade. This will be your next one. So this will help keep your high grade high, or maybe give you that boost you needed to pass class, to get a B or an A average. Moving on to slide 4. We went ahead and looked at that major grade we just took. So we spent over an hour in class last week, really the whole week, analyzing those poems, really looking at the theme of them, and then taking a test during class. So when you click on this, it should not prompt you to take the test. You are behind, you have late work if it's telling you to take the test, because we did that in class together. Yours should say that you've already submitted it, and it says click here to view score. So go ahead and get that score. Commit that to memory, remember that number. And let's discuss that a little more. Let's go ahead and skip to slide 6 with that number. So with that number in mind, follow the directions on number 1. It says go open this. It says what to do if it won't let you edit it. So that looks like this. I go to 6 weeks resources. You can also find that right here, 6 weeks resources. Level up. You need to click view assignment and click unsubmit for it to show up like this. Okay, so on slide 1, you'll see that you have your score from Sandcastle. You'll see that you did well, you needed to improve your goal. You know what you wanted to do the next time you took a test like this. Well, here we are. So go to slide 3. It should be blank for you. Click on slide 3, so make sure that it's highlighted like this. Click on it. Go to edit, copy, edit, paste. There is another way to do that. You could also right click on it, copy, right click, paste. So go ahead and push pause and try one of those. Maybe rewind this part of the video. And what you want to do is click on that slide, zoom in, and write what I did, which is, this is my test from Brown Girl Dreaming. This is today's date, and I'm going to put my score. So let's say this time I got a 70. I will put my 70 in there. I'll place it in here, which means my goal next time. Maybe I was just sleepy or having a bad day. I know my goal should have been in the green. Maybe I am struggling and it's going to be up to the blue. You are manipulating that. So let me zoom out. And see, now you have this extra slide for next time. So that's ready for the next time we do another test. And this is so that we can always go back and discuss with your family members your progress and see how it's going, how you did last time, how you improved, or maybe it's kind of a red flag that we need to have a meeting and see what's going on. So this is you just updating your score. When you're done with that, you can close it. Now, speaking of your score, If you scored below a 70 particularly, you do want to go back up to slide 5, reread the poems here, retest on your own time, and then here are the questions read aloud to you if needed. Again, if you came over here earlier and realized you hadn't even taken the original test, this passage is right there. This is what the poems are over. It should look familiar because we did spend an entire week analyzing them. So I would push pause and really just kind of close that chapter up. In class, we did do some Quizlet live games, so you have these accessible right there, but I'm going to skip ahead to Bud Not Buddy. Open the PDF, put it on page 58. That's chapter 10. The way to improve your reading is to follow along, build that fluency, so you should be able to follow with your eyes, read the way she does. Maybe you need to pause and reread some parts. He goes on quite the adventure in this one with a new character. Push play on the video, push pause on this, and come back to this video. Now in class, we discussed the theme of chapter 10 because last week we looked at theme and poetry, so let's apply that to Bud Not Buddy also. In class, we decided the theme was to not always trust strangers. It could also be nice to others. Remember, it can be 1 or 2 different themes that are applicable. You just want to put something that makes sense. We put some pictures in there too that kind of reminded us of this. So you could have put insert, let me click on here, insert image, search. I think we searched for be careful. And so we liked this one. I know it kind of seems like it has to do with COVID, but honestly, there's like talk of the man being a vampire in that. So maybe the blood thing, it'll make sense. I mean, you already heard the video, but and you can put more than one video picture. My biggest thing is making sure you understand theme. Okay. Push pause on this, kind of wrap that up. And poetry project. So these are 2 videos you want to watch. This one shows you the types of poetry. There's free verse, lyrical, humorous, narrative, and narrative stands apart because that's the only one that will actually make sense. Lyrical is usually a song, and it's kind of all over the place. It can rhyme or not. Narrative will always have a beginning, middle, and end. It'll have characters, and that's what you see in When Charlie McButton Lost His Power. Now, in that, you want to stop and notice the figurative language because that's what makes a poem. When you start your project right now, next, your poem will be powerful. It will be good if you have figurative language, which brings it to life. So this will make more sense if you watch When Charlie McButton Lost His Power. Maybe push pause halfway and come back to this. But at one point, he says the thunderstorm blew in. Well, I can imagine that. Just by saying the word blew in, I'm picturing, well, no wonder he lost power. And then at one point it says his mom has ears like a bat. She doesn't really. That's just imagery that is helping me realize, man, she's got an ear on him and she realizes something's wrong. There's just very exaggerated moments. There's alliteration. There's onomatopoeia. We discussed this in length last week. You saw it on Bright Thinker. So just kind of analyze that poem and realize that you're going to do the same. Now here's your project. I did notice when I created this, I made my boxes overlap, so you're gonna have to really click right there. I'm gonna do that again. See how when I click on this, I need to click right under it to be able to access that. Now, if you still can't click it, don't worry, I have it somewhere else too, but basically your poem that you're going to make needs to meet these expectations. So I'm going to center it. Rubrics are what help you see if you need to work on your writing. They really help with writing. Like when you write something, you're like, I'm done. Well, a rubric tells you, well, did you have this? Did you have that? Check, check, check. So to get 0 points, 0 stanzas. Your project needs to have stanzas. That's what makes a poem. So 0 points for that. If you have 1 stanza, which is like a paragraph, you get 5 points. You can earn 10 points. You can earn 20 if you have 3 or more stanzas. Okay, so I'm going from left to right. Imagery, that's the hyperbole, alliteration, similes. If you have none, 0 points. If you've got 1, you need to have at least 2 for those 20 points. You could easily earn 100 if you just check, check, check on that. The collage pictures, I mean, it's just a number of pictures. Okay, you can push pause and read over that a little more. Look at it with an adult if you want to. Okay, and then today we stopped at slide 12. So this is how you do your poetry project. Go to your classwork tab, find it. Also, as a reminder, this is for the group I saw last Friday. So if you're in periods 1 through 4, we'll discuss it this Friday, but anyone by now should be looking at the fluency Flipgrid, which is right at the top. Read the instructions thoroughly. This is an easy 100 and you've lost points if it's late. Okay, so it said to go find your poetry project. Notice it's a major grade. So you click that open. And you add your name here. Here are the instructions. You're going to write a free verse, which means you don't need to rhyme. You can if you want to, but it needs to be a narrative poem. It needs to have a beginning, middle, and end about quarantine. So here's that rubric again. Extra credit opportunity if you highlight, just follow the directions on here, add an extra 10 points to your assignment. So if you're struggling with this poem, get your extra credit. Get that passing grade by doing this part. It'll be fun too. It's kind of like you're coloring digitally. All right, so in class I discussed this, the guidelines. You need to have at least 3 stanzas. You're writing a story. You're writing a story in a poem. You can use one-worded lines, but don't abuse that. And you do need your examples of imagery. So we started in class by brainstorming. So let's say this quarantine so far, I spent a lot of time with my dog, Chloe. This is my personal experience. These were my ideas. I'm thinking, you know what? I could probably write a couple of stanzas about Chloe, my dog. I walked the neighborhood daily. So I'll probably have a lot of, I could use onomatopoeia to describe the sounds I heard every day, write about my experience. I lost a good friend. Remember, narrative poems can be sad, funny, entertaining. Brown Girl Dreaming, you know, she really let out her feelings with that. So if you lost someone to COVID, this would be your opportunity, and you don't have to share. You could tell me you play video games every day. You could honestly tell me all about your video games, just like Charlie McButton. That's why I gave you that example. I'm just writing ideas. Guys, this is no pressure. This is you brainstorming, putting, okay, these are some things I did during quarantine. I could probably tell a story about that in my poem. I know the imagery I want to use is hyperbole because we can all be a little dramatic and exaggerate. Onomatopoeia because I talked about the sounds. I'm probably spelling that wrong. Okay, no, I didn't. Simile, metaphor, you could always look that up. Okay, and we kind of stopped there. So now we've planted a seed and said, okay, I've got a huge project to do. I'm going to write a poem. And you'll be working through this. You will turn this in. It's going to take a couple of weeks. You just want to make sure that as of today, you've written down some ideas on what you want. You can always come back as a writer, you're in control. You can come back and say, I don't want to write about that. I changed my mind. I'm going to tell this story. Make sure you'll be able to write a beginning, middle, and end. And that is it. The end of this video, I just want to mention, if you are missing work, and that means on Parent Portal it says you're still missing a grade, you need to go to week 1 and find the syllabus. That was a grade. If you are missing Bright Thinker, that's on week 2. And if you just stay on task with us, these things are getting done, and they're getting done in class. So Bright Thinker, you log in. This was due. You have to complete lessons 1, 3, and the quiz, which we did during class. You had plenty of time there. If you needed help, if this has been overwhelming, you have to speak up, you have to reach out. And I have asked many times, I've asked for clarification. I'm trying my best here. I know it's not easy with remote learning. It's okay to be struggling, but it's not okay not to ask for help. And that's with almost anything in life. You need to ask for help. And the fluency Flipgrid. So a couple of things you need to go back and check on. All right, see you soon.